Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is F1 Fanatics. Welcome back to the F1 podcast, a day later than usual, but also special kind of edition, special thing involved in this week's episode. We have a guest, so midway through the episode it'll cut to a kind of chat that I had with Zach from Upshift F1 about obviously last week's news that Haas will drop both their drivers in Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean for the 2021 season, meaning that they will have a totally new driver lineup for the Haas team. So make sure you hang around for the kind of midpoint of the video on that one. But we're going to start off talking about the race on Sunday at Portimao. Great track. Great track.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great track. That is a proper racetrack, Portimao. Yeah. There's no mucking around. And we'll finish off, as always, with Steven's Yeah. If this is your first time tuning into the podcast, we're sorry. Please.
We probably shouldn't open with that.
Probably should. But hang around because it's fun. We think it's fun. Have a chat about F1. That's what we do. We're just talking. So, Stephen, enjoy the race.
Yes, I did. It was a crazy start. Very enjoyable start. First 30 laps, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
You're like, I am all in the Portimao hype.
And then in the middle, it got a bit, everyone's just going round, holding position, not much exciting happening. And then Lewis starts to fly away, so we don't have a battle for the lead. But then at the end, we had some moves on Checo as his chose the wrong strategy. So it peaked about at the end. But the main thing I enjoyed, other than the action at the beginning, great overtakes, was just watching the onboards. Just watching the cars go around that track. It just felt really cool.
It was a proper driver challenge, wasn't it?
I may just be easily pleased by elevation.
Whoa!
I could just enjoy any track that has elevation changes like Portimao did. But yeah.
I think what a brilliant circuit it is. And yeah, it had few overtaking spots, but
the overtakes that did happen were actually pretty good.
Yeah, they were pretty
other than the ones completely engineered by DRS.
Yeah.
The ones that there were lots of cutback, switchback opportunities.
Like there was a brilliant battle between Kimi Räikkönen and Carlos Sainz. Yeah. I mean, Kimi Räikkönen's first lap full stop was sensational.
Yeah. It was the ability for two cars to go 2 cars a breadth through like 3 or 4 corners, because we also had that great battle with Checo and Ocon.
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah. So that is what leads to good racing. When corners chain together, but there's enough room for drivers, like you said, to go side by side. That's proper exciting racing because, it's skill on the edge. The car's on the verge. Who's going to get the best traction? Will the driver give so that they get a better traction and lead into the next corner, and who's taking which line and who's going to have the better line coming out? It's just, that is what proper racing is to me, those sort of overtakes, and when you're having great on-track battles. So, yeah, I think you're right. First half of the race, big thumbs up. Second half of the race,
still pretty good.
Yeah, it was
what we had really missed, and what I thought was going to be what we were finally going to get, was a battle for the lead. When obviously Lewis led, Bottas made the overtake. He went flying off, and I thought we were going to have this nip and tuck battle between Lewis and Bottas, but then Bottas didn't look after his tyres, and Lewis kind of strode to like a 25-second plus
As
lead.
soon as you saw how quickly the softs dropped on that McLaren's, I don't know about you, but I checked out in my mind about a race for the lead. I wasn't worrying about that because Bottas's tyre, I don't know. I don't know whether we said this, I think, earlier in the week. I don't know whether it's the fact that Lewis Hamilton is on god tier tyre preservation, or that Valtteri Bottas's tyre preservation is just that bad.
Yeah.
I think it's probably somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I think Hamilton is very good, and Bottas is good, but not anywhere near the level of Lewis Hamilton's ability to make tyres just go on and maintain a high level of performance out of them.
I think he's too focused on being as fast as possible rather than, and then he's kind of forgot that he needs to look after these Pirelli tyres because they are a beast in their own right. You have to treat them well, or they will not treat you well.
It is. It's not like driving in the past in F1. You've just basically got a really hard compound tyre that just goes all the way to the end. It's not like that anymore. It is a really massive part of it, especially since Pirelli's weird thing, which is not their fault because that's what F1 asked for.
Yeah.
So they've given exactly what F1 asked for. But yeah, it's just a little bit odd. Standout performers from the race?
Standout performers, there are three. Maybe we didn't give one of them enough credit in the driver ratings because how their race ended. But Pierre Gasly, Charles Leclerc, and Checo Perez, probably the three standouts of the day. And obviously Lewis Hamilton, because he did finish 25 seconds ahead of Bottas.
It was an absolutely dominating performance from Lewis, and we don't want it to go like, oh, just because he won and makes it look easy doesn't mean it is easy. Look, brilliant. Achieved the 92 wins record. Absolutely superb. Actually, we'll have a discussion about that, Lewis, after we've talked about the other three.
Okay.
Just on comments from another driver.
There we go.
Charles Leclerc, incredible season he's having.
Yeah,
Absolutely incredible season in what has been an awful car. And I think because we expect Ferrari to be at the top, we haven't given it enough credit. The fact that for the majority of the season, it's probably been worse from Racing Point, McLaren, Renault, and Alpha Tauri. And Charles Leclerc's performances has beaten all of those teams on merit.
Yeah.
On multiple occasions. Like, if Pierre Gasly's getting a whoop whoop, well done, Pierre. Great stuff at Alpha Tauri, which he is nailing. Charles Leclerc deserves that credit as well.
Yeah.
In that Ferrari.
Yeah.
It is a dog of a car. It's just unbelievable.
Ferrari in P4 and an Alpha Tauri in P5 is mental. Because those cars have been competitive, but they haven't been on the same level as Renault, McLaren, or Racing Point. Yet they're in P4 and P5. But Charles Leclerc does it again.
But if you took Mercedes and Max Verstappen out of it, we'd have an absolutely incredible championship.
Yeah.
It would be incredible because it has been so hard to pick. It's been unpredictable. It's been amazing. But it's a shame that we do have
Mercedes and Max
just so far out ahead of the rest.
Why can't all of them get caught out by regulations and loopholes and get their engines taken away?
Exactly. Yeah. Boo. But no. Pierre, he just has this ability now that he stays out of trouble, and he just, when he's got an opportunity, he capitalizes on it, and he just looks such a solid, reliable driver now.
Yeah.
But he is in that bracket of, I'm going, well, it was the Red Bull seat that made him look bad. Look, Pierre Gasly had a bad 6 months. Didn't make him a bad driver, but it also, he didn't perform well, and his confidence there. And there is a huge difference. Spoke about it, I think, in driver ratings when talking about Albon. There is a huge difference between going to the pressure of one of the top seats in Formula One and driving for Alpha Tauri. And Pierre is now developing that. I think if he went back into a top team, I think he would be a lot better suited for it. But he was rushed, and he was too early into that seat in Red Bull, and that's what we saw the consequences of it. And we'll come on and probably talk about Alex Albon in a little bit. But yeah, the other one in there, Checo. Considering, contact with Max early doors, racing incident, it happens.
Lap 1, you get away with murder.
You absolutely do. But yeah, Max, it wasn't great.
No.
From Max. But Checo went back on the medium tyre, worked his way through the field. He just flew through the field so quick. And considering that Lance Stroll was really struggling, and then had his little incident with Norris, it was an incredibly impressive performance. And it's just such a shame again they've made the wrong decision when it mattered.
They have all the data. But at the time, I was thinking, this is right. Because there's not many laps left. Bang him out on the quickest tyre. Surely this will work. But they had the data, thinking back to the start of the race, how quickly those soft tyres dropped off with the McLarens. You probably should go, let's play it safe. Because he had a decent gap between him and Gasly. And he had, maybe he didn't have another medium compound, but surely he would have had a hard compound to go on to, which the Mercedes showed had pace.
And had he had a buffer. So he wouldn't have lost that much performance to the medium tyre that Pierre Gasly was on, and definitely would have come home P5, which would be an incredible comeback drive from where he ended up going to the back of the field. Yeah.
In the end, he finished P7.
Yeah, so again, another missed opportunities, but again, another strong performance from Checo, putting himself in the shop window for potentially that Red Bull seat, potentially the rumoured Williams seat, replacing George Russell, to say, look, I should still be in Formula One and on pure ability. And he does have the financial backing, which always makes it so confusing that someone like Checo, who does have the full package, the talent and the money, that he could see himself outside of a seat in 2021 in Formula One. But hey, who knows? Right, question, Lewis Hamilton. So, Lewis Hamilton, brilliant drive. Blah, blah, blah. Lando Norris made a comment post-race going, I'm happy for him. But, he only has like 1 or 2 cars to beat. He should be winning every race. And type thing. Inferring, I don't know if that's like the exact quote or if he said something particularly worse, but he then apologised for it.
Yep.
Later on in the week. Do you think he should have had to apologise for his comments?
Probably not, no. Lots of people make those comments. You don't see apologies all the time. So he's I guess what's been construed as he's downplaying Lewis's achievement, basically.
Yeah. Which, look, here's the fact. Lewis Hamilton is one of the best drivers to ever drive in Formula 1. That's without a doubt. That's there. But what you also can't take into doubt, that Mercedes car is one of the best cars that has ever been built within Formula 1.
I'm pretty sure it's the most dominant era, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of dominant time of one car.
Yeah.
One team.
It is the most dominant car in history. And the statement of saying that he only has 1 or 2 cars to beat, especially this season, is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So...
to think, in all the years, because it's always been him versus Nico. Then it was Sebastian at Ferrari because Kimi wasn't challenging. And then we've had Max.
Yeah, but what I would say, especially in 2019 and 2017-18, there were some races where the Red Bull, there was that strong top 6. You had Ricciardo, Verstappen.
Not over a season, though.
No, not over a season. But if we're talking about race wins, there was a strong roster of Bottas could win some races, Vettel could, Raikkonen could, Ricciardo could, and Verstappen could.
Yeah.
Now he's in a situation where Bottas can and Max can if Mercedes have issues.
Yeah.
So it's in no way downplaying his achievements. He's got the world record. It's incredible. Absolutely fantastic achievement. But there is also nothing wrong in what Lando Norris has said, because it's the truth. And we've said it, I think, before. It's not criticising Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton for being the best. That is part of the parcel of Formula One. If you've got a really good budget and you produce a brilliant car within the rules, which is fantastic, and you have an amazing driver, that's F1. We've had dominant seasons and dominant cars in the past that do just absolutely blitz it, and that's all Mercedes are doing. We've said the onus is on Red Bull and Ferrari cocking up and not being able to challenge them.
Yeah,
that's been the main issue of the era. But as fans, it's disappointing not to see Lewis Hamilton push, because I would be convinced that if Lewis Hamilton had cars that were closer to him on track, he would not have as many wins, but he would definitely be winning the titles, if not challenging to the very last race every season. And we would see how good Lewis Hamilton is. And all the people who doubt how good he is wouldn't have an argument, because you'd see it. Where at the moment, they've got a kind of argument because we don't know. It's an unknown.
Yeah.
We don't know whether Max would beat Lewis Hamilton because he's not in a car that could do it. We don't know. You could probably say Sebastian Vettel, but we don't know Charles Leclerc with the performances he's got this year in his second season at Ferrari. If it was as good as Ferrari as last year, that, he would have potentially pushed Lewis closer as well.
Yeah.
We don't know. And obviously over the years, it's been a little bit tricky. But yeah, look, Lewis is fantastic. The achievement is fantastic, but also don't think, let's be less harsh on Lando Norris on that front, because what he said is true. And he said he was happy for Lewis. You don't have to be over the top, over the moon with it. It's incredible. No one thought that record would get beaten. And you know what? I don't think it will get beaten now.
No, well, you never know.
You do never know, because F1 can have dominant cars. But I feel like the way the sport's going, it's to try and stop cars being that dominant in the future.
Yeah. Well, you could just have more races. You could start having double race weekends.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have 40 races a weekend, and 92 doesn't seem too many to catch.
Yeah, very true.
Max said he's going to 40. He said, Lewis has pushed me that in my mind, I want to drive time 40 or something to try to beat the records.
Not Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon hasn't pushed him to drive to 40.
Different series.
They're harder cars to drive.
Well, Scott Dixon's on 200 F1 wins.
Oh dear. But yeah, okay, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below on that question, because that's an interesting one. Do you think Lando is in the right? Do you agree with what we're saying? Do you disagree with what we're saying? We'd love to kind of have a debate and chat with you in the comments down below. But now is the part of the podcast.
We haven't finished.
We haven't finished the review.
Finished. We need to go down on the teammates, the embarrassing teammates to the shining lights up top. And that is, of course, Sebastian Vettel, Alex Albon, and Valtteri Bottas. All had terrible performances compared to their teammates.
Yeah. Okay, let's start off with Vettel. Vettel, it's just, we said it before, it's just painful watching it end with him and Ferrari. He hates the car. In his mind, must be, with all kind of the best intentions of him being a professional, your heart's not in it.
Yeah.
Your heart's not in the team. And it's gone badly, and he doesn't necessarily probably feel like the team have treated him well. He just has no confidence in that car.
No. And, and if you don't like the car, you're probably not going to pull out performances like Charles is pulling out. But at the same time, I think they are very similar cars. I know they both have the upgrades. So when your teammates finishing in 4th, you feel like the other car should be closer than 10th. But like you said, it's confidence is a big part of getting the most out of the car.
Seb is the one that I'm willing to kind of give the most leeway to, I think, in this season, just because it's Ferrari, and Ferrari are different kettle
The
of fish
relationship
in
went
everything.
so badly wrong, so quickly.
And when a relationship goes wrong, I mean, Ferrari don't care who you are. I bring up the example all the time. Literally, Alain Prost, one of the drivers of his generation, got kicked out of Ferrari because he said it was a bad car.
Yep.
Like, if they can sack a 4-time champion, he wasn't at the time, he was a 3-time champion there, and said Ferrari just, they will make your life uncomfortable. But I don't think they're trying to make Seb's life uncomfortable. I just feel like they're not invested in Seb. So when Seb says something's wrong, they're like,
yeah.
That's what I kind of feel. But right, yeah, let's move on to Bottas. Let's save Albon to last.
We kind of already touched on Bottas. It's that he just can't put the full package together on a Sunday. He can't put the pace and the management all together to challenge Lewis. And yeah, he's finished P2. He's finished 25 seconds behind Lewis. Same strategy. He was going on about wanting softs at the end. But like we saw of Checo, the team actually made the right. Well, apparently Mercedes is just part of their philosophy that each driver has the same strategy since Rosberg. They don't want any tension. So they just go, both drivers have the same strategy. And but it turns out the softs would have been a terrible choice if they even put him on those. But 25 seconds, same strategy, same car, 25 seconds. He just can't put it together. He was dominating, as usual, practice, FP1, FP2, FP3, Q1, Q2, and then it just goes. Every time.
Lewis Hamilton lives rent-free in Valtteri Bottas's head. Like, he's there. And it's a bit like Rosberg was the little demon in Hamilton's head. Hamilton overcame it much better. But 2016, it would have been, and that's one thing that we miss out on so much. But Rosberg knew that he gave everything for that championship, because I would have loved to have seen what that battle would have been like in 2017. And it was as great with Sebastian Vettel in there anyway.
Yeah.
So to have Rosberg in there as a 3-way split, that would have been fascinating. And Bottas just is the perfect number 2. And look, he has limitations as a driver. He's a good driver. He's not a world championship winning driver. So we shouldn't really expect that from him. So what he's doing this year is pretty damn good for what his role is within the team.
Yeah.
But we're tired of another year where a championship fight, Lewis Hamilton's not going to be pushed all the way.
No.
So there you go. Hasn't been pushed properly since 2016. I know people will argue Sebastian Vettel, but the second half of the seasons for Ferrari in both 17 and 18 really fizzled out, that I don't really call them a proper title challenge. A proper title challenge for me is in the last race, either driver can win the title.
Yeah.
Albon. Do you want to start, Albon?
I started on the driver ratings.
Okay.
I basically said I couldn't see a single positive for Albon this weekend. Outside the points, bad start, no showy overtakes, lapped by his teammate.
I think he just knows.
Yeah.
I think he knows he's gone.
And now the team of saying, because most of the early parts of stages, Alex is our number one choice, Now we're getting to the point of he has to the end of the season to prove himself.
Alex is our preferred option.
Yes, he's now preferred
But,
option.
we will look outside the programme if we need to do that.
Yeah.
When you got drivers of Hulkenberg and Perez's calibre, you have to look at them.
Yeah.
And so, the writing's on the wall for poor Alex. And it's just a Red Bull issue. They've promoted 2 young drivers early. And look, this is going to sound really hard because I don't know. In the future, I'd love him to prove me wrong. But I think people forget Nico Rosberg was very highly rated as a youngster. So it wasn't a surprise that one day he did win a World Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
Gasly and Albon, I don't know if they're elite level drivers. I think Gasly has kicked on massively more than anyone thought he would, and he probably has more potential to be one of those in the future. But Alex Albon, I think, is a very good driver, definitely F1 worthy, but is he elite caliber like we're talking the Max Verstappen, Leclerc's, Hamilton's of the world? So if we do lose him from F1, am I too disappointed?
Oof.
It's a bit like if someone turned around and said Lance Stroll isn't going to be in F1 next year, would you be too disappointed?
No.
Roman Grosjean for a lot of people. I love Grosjean, what he's giving. He's again another lovely person. He's had his time though.
There's only one man I'd be disappointed in leaving.
Max Verstappen.
But there are options out there for Albon they probably would have more success and more fun in for Marie.
Yeah.
Bam.
I think it would be a much better option for him.
He'd be a popular driver. And it's a spec series, so you're all same cars. Go have fun, Albon.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any seats outside of Red Bull or Alpha Tauri for him. And he probably just needs to move on.
Yeah, I think when you show a caliber of a driver, and this is an honest question, I'll put it to you guys in the comments below, answer. If you were a team principal of any other team, would you sign Alexander Albon over your current roster? Haas, I could probably see people saying Haas, and you'd go fair if over 2 rookies.
But then
Albon wanted the seats, but then that's not going to come in.
Haas want money, and I presume Albon doesn't have the biggest financial backing.
No, I don't think he does. Obviously, because he struggled to get funding all the way through.
So yes, team principal at Haas would not be looking at Albon.
Williams, money.
They need money.
You'd pick him over Nicholas Latifi, admittedly. But, money is an issue there. Alfa Romeo, would you pick Albon over Kimi? I wouldn't.
No, not if it Kimi.
Giovinazzi, yes, but
that seats for a Ferrari Academy driver.
Exactly, so that can't be there. Renault both know. Alpha Tauri, you could say over Kvyat.
Yep. Yeah, I could definitely see him with a Gasly, Albon, Alpha Tauri driver lineup. I just think the backing for Yuki is too great. Especially if Red Bull want to keep Honda sweet.
Yeah. So look, he's in a really difficult situation, I think. Everyone goes. But I always kind of feel like if a driver is good enough, there isn't a debate whether they should be in the sport or whether they should keep their seat or not. That's genuinely a good kind of benchmark, because there's never been a debate whether Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen or Charles Leclerc have been good enough for F1.
Yeah.
Sebastian Vettel, whether he's good enough for F1. There's never been a debate about that.
And that's about it for the race review. We've done our top picks, our teammate woes, how much we enjoyed Portimao. We threw a question out there to you about Lando and Lewis, and Bam! We covered it all.
We've covered it all. It's all there for you. So just enjoy. There. Right there. There. There.
We'll come on to George later in the podcast.
Yes. We certainly will do.
Yes.
But now is a little bit of break from Stephen. We're getting rid of him. He's gone. Because now we are welcoming onto the channel Upshift F1, Zach. From there, a young F1 YouTuber up and coming. He wanted to come on and do a collaboration on the channel. So he's jumped on for a segment of the podcast. We are going to talk about the news, obviously, last week that Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean have been dropped from Haas. What he thought about that, what we thought about where both those drivers would go, who would come in and replace them. So enjoy this segment and make sure that you subscribe to Upshift F1. All the links to his channel will be in the description down below. Really great channel, so I hope that you enjoy this next segment. For coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. It's always nice kind of talking to F1s. F1 is a worldwide sport, and obviously you are from America, aren't you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Americans don't really we don't usually are fans of F1. We're usually fans of IndyCar or NASCAR. So it's a bit weird trying to find other F1 fans. It's just kind of me and my dad, really. But yeah, it's the F1 community here is growing.
It definitely is. It's something obviously Liberty Media gone on, obviously having COTA, the Circuit of Americas as well, which obviously I think it's your local track actually as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only a few hours away from me, so hoping I can go there soon.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, obviously all this COVID has pretty much stopped. Although the race, obviously, we've been talking about in the podcast, Portuguese Grand Prix, we've got fans at, so at least that looks like it's a positive step in the right direction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
There's gonna be fans in Bahrain, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there is now more positive steps in place for there kind of be fans going on in the rest of the seasons. But hopefully by the time 2021 rolls around, a normal-ish calendar and a normal amount of fans, even if it's less fans, are allowed back into races. But obviously today, Zach, we brought you on to talk about the big news in F1 last week in terms of the driver market. Looks like it's going to be a little bit tasty. There's rumours flying around left, right and centre. Obviously, you know, big moves. Vettel moving to Aston Martin, Sainz going to Ferrari, Ricciardo, McLaren, Alonso back in Renault. But two drivers who won't be unlikely to be in F1 next year and definitely won't be in the same team next year at Haas, the American team, funnily enough. But yeah, Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean. What did you make of the news first off, Zach?
To be honest, I kind of expected it. Unfortunately, I think Haas's situation has been bad for a while, and I think it really I think people knew it was bad, but it really seemed to show, especially last year, with incidents like in Silverstone in Spain. I'm pretty sure they had an incident in Monaco where it just we all knew that they did not have chemistry, they could not work together, and then I don't want to be disrespectful to both of them because they've had amazing careers so far. But I just don't think that they're amazing drivers, and I definitely think that there are better drivers out there for Haas. And yeah, I just kind of expected it, and just I also want to say something real quick about
I'm back.
He's back. We're back. Hope you enjoyed that little one. Like I said before, make sure you subscribe to it. But now we're going to round off the podcast. So we mentioned in that segment that it most likely will be Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Sorry, I've just ruined Stephen's rumours for you.
Stephen's rumours.
Oh, Stephen's rumours. Because now we have to deal in solid facts.
Sorry?
Pierre Gasly has signed for Alpha Tauri.
Yes, that's in the Stevens rumours. It's not really a rumour, is it?
No.
Get out of my Stevens room. No, okay. Well, we can link it in with... so Gasly, we kind of been saying it for the last few weeks. Marco's been going, I want an experienced guy in that seat and I want a new guy in that seat. I think he's announcing it at the latest by Bahrain, who will be joining Pierre Gasly. So we may know Alex Albon or Yuki Tsunoda will be joining him. Kvyat's gone. That's out of the question.
There is no doubt that Daniel Kvyat has driven his last race for
he's still got a few
Alpha
more.
Tauri.
Still got 4 more races. Is there 4 more races left?
Yeah.
Yep.
5 maybe? Potentially 5.
Imola, Istanbul,
Turkey.
and then double Bahrain, and
Abu Dhabi.
Yep.
5.
there you go, 5. So he's got 5 races left. He hasn't driven his last race, just his 5 races left.
Bit like Grosjean.
Yeah.
Bit like Kevin.
Bit like Kevin. Well, Kevin you could see coming back.
I could see, yeah, absolutely.
But yes, Haas, Mick and
Nikita Mazepin.
That's the one. Let's set for Haas because they've got the talent and they've got the money, and that's just what Haas are looking for, which is basically why Kevin missed out because he didn't have the money. Alfa Romeo looks like they're sticking with Kimi and Gio purely because I think Kimi's performing. Clearly, Kimi's doing enough. He's doing enough on track, and clearly he's doing enough for them off track. And apparently, Gio has quite a lot of friends at Alfa Romeo, which is why they want to keep Gio as well.
Well, I think, like we said, Gio hasn't had bad performances.
No.
We just felt like the writing was on the wall and that Mick would be promoted and it would be 2 Ferrari juniors promoted. But it looks like it's probably just going to be Mick, and I didn't think that Haas would be the option. So it seemed Alfa Romeo was the only option that was going to be there. But if Haas have opened the door up...
Yeah. Well, because the Ferrari link, isn't it? Because Alfa Romeo have a seat that has to be for a Ferrari driver, a Cadby guy. But I guess there's pretty strong relationship between Haas and Ferrari in terms of driver picks. Well, I've seen that quite.
Well, they offered him Leclerc before he went to Sauber Alfa Romeo.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go. Other rumours. Well, the Checo Russell story isn't really going away. That's still lurking about. But I think Toto said George will be in F1, but then he said George's future is out of his hands. I think my bet is George is 100% staying in that Williams team.
Oh.
I don't think Checo gets that team. I don't think Checo... Because Checo said in an interview that he was looking for a project, but he still wanted to compete. Williams is a project, but you're not going to compete. So Haas would basically suit Checo's profile more, but Checo's not going to Haas. I don't know. I'm pretty sure George is going to be staying at the Williams.
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
I'd hope to see George staying at Williams.
Yeah. Trying to think of other rumours. I don't think there are anything else.
There's been a quiet week on
ruined
the
the Haas
rumours.
one for me.
Apologies.
You two.
Yeah. Us and Zach, take over. Woo!
I left for a matter of seconds.
And then next thing you know, Zach's done it all.
Everything's done.
Done it all.
Everything's done. There are no other movements, I don't think, in the driver market.
No, everything's pretty quiet at the moment.
Yep.
Right. Well, I guess then that's time for us doing the F1 podcast this week. Hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, guys. Make sure you comment down below with your thoughts on all the topics discussed in today's video. And if you're new around here or haven't done so already, Stephen, what can they do?
You can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it! So for now, UF1 fans, keep racing!